Adam, this kind of got us on the conversation. We were talking about Star Wars games, and Star Wars is a property that has a ton of licensed games, but this kind of got us on the question of, what license, typically would you say has the best games, or like what games, what licensed games from like what franchise has the best licensed games?
You basically come up with three names. You come up
Do
with
you?
Star Wars because that's the easy one.
Mm-hmm.
You bring up, well, I guess you bring up four because there's Marvel and DC because they each have their own sets.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man specifically with Marvel's done pretty well because you have Maximum Carnage, you have Separation Anxiety, both on the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis era.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the original Spider-Man on PlayStation, which was decent. Then you bring up Spider-Man 2 on PS2, which is pretty legendary. Yeah. And then you skip for a while, and then you get to Marvel Spider-Man.
Wasn't Shattered Dimensions okay?
I honestly didn't get into most of the ones that came up between 2 and the PS4 reboot of this, like where they finally did Marvel Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like, for all intents and purposes, like Spider-Man's probably been their best. Well, I think it's been their only good property. I don't think they've really had post 2D any really like amazing Marvel games since. Like, I guess Ultimate Alliance would be like the only one.
Say Ultimate Alliance, and then like, Marvel vs. Capcom, if you want to count that.
I probably wouldn't because it's not really in the same. It's more of a Capcom like fighting game than it is anything else.
Yeah,
but like you really think about it, Thor sucks. Iron Man games sucked. A couple of Hulk games have tried. They've sucked. They tried to make an Avengers game, and that's gone amazingly well for them. And there's no sarcasm in that statement.
No.
So it seems like Spider-Man's really the only one that's kind of held to.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I think a lot of people are hoping that like Insomniac, after they were done with Miles Morales, now kind of works on something different. Mm-hmm. But sticking with Marvel, like it'd be really cool to see something else. Although my brain would go, no, stick to what you're doing. It's working. Yeah. Don't change it.
Yeah, I'm not looking for any other superhero games. But
I mean, I'd like to see an awesome Cap game, but
see, that would be boring. I think like he doesn't fly. He basically just runs and drives.
Like, you could do like a cool like third person like action adventure like almost Uncharted level kind of thing with it.
I guess I just find Captain America boring.
Well, he's supposed to be.
Well, and he
kind of is.
But that's the thing. I'm not looking for a boring character when I'm making a video game.
Well, you don't have to worry about that part because anybody will buy something right now with a Marvel thing attached to it.
That's true.
Except for Avengers somehow, but that's how bad the demo was.
See, so I think you're right, and I think the same thing happens with DC. Like if you think about DC, it's really just Batman. Yeah. Like Batman, it's a good game.
Because I mean, you can't think of Superman because the only one that we can think of is not great. No, I know there's more than Superman 64, but that's all anybody ever thinks about.
Exactly.
I mean, there is Injustice, so there's that.
But once again, that's a fighting game. Like if we're gonna,
but it is specifically DC.
That's true.
And does incorporate a lot of DC storylines. So
okay.
I would consider that more than Marvel vs. Capcom, which is more of just a crossover like fan service game.
I will give you the point, sir. I will give you the point.
But after that, like there's been a Green Lantern game. I wouldn't tell you to play it, but it exists.
Oh, we're forgetting. No. There's one more. We're forgetting one on both sides. There's the Lego games. There's the Lego Batman games, and there's the Lego Marvel games. That is true. And those are actually really good.
Yeah. But that's because Lego games, for some reason, are amazing, and it makes no sense.
Oh, they're like so much better than they have any right to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, my wife and I, we platinum the Marvel's Avengers, the first one. Oh my god, that if you haven't played Marvel's Avengers, such a fantastic game. Like
he means the Lego one, by the way, just to be clear.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot that there's now two now. The Lego Marvel's Avengers is a fantastic game that I highly recommend.
I was gonna say if I knew somebody who platinumed the recent Marvel Avengers games, I probably like call TLC or A&E or whoever does it has intervention and be like, I need you now.
Yeah.
The other one that I was gonna say though, because after the Marvel and DC ones would be 007, and that is a weird one because 007 has not been good for a long time. But there was a good stretch of them. Like, my God, there was an amazing stretch.
Yeah.
GoldenEye, The World Is Not Enough. Nightfire. What was Agent Under Fire?
It was like From Russia with Love on Xbox.
Everything or Nothing, I believe, was the third-person one, and I actually like that one a lot.
Was there one called Bloodstone on the PS? There was one called
That was
Bloodstone
the one that was like an original Daniel Craig one.
Yes, and then they did remake GoldenEye as well.
They did a Quantum of Solace game as well, which apparently was better on Xbox 360 and PS3, but the Wii version was trash.
Yeah. The other one that comes to mind for me is Warhammer. Warhammer has a pretty niche, but it has a pretty devout following in terms of those games. There's like the Dawn of War series. I see tons of Warhammer games coming out. And then there was I think it was just called Warhammer for PS3. That one came out. That one was pretty good as well.
I've seen so many people talk about that series, but I've never seen the commercial one that people know about. I think Vermintide's, I guess, probably been their closest one now.
I think probably for Warhammer, I think their biggest one was the Dawn of War RTS games for the PC. Those games were really good, and I think if I recall, they did some stuff really neat. So your typical RTS at the time was, go collect Tiberium or stone or crystals or whatever, and you had to resource manage. And Dawn of War was, if not the first, one of the first where it was just, nope, we don't really care. We just want you to go and fight. And so you got resources by controlling most of the map. And so by holding control points and strategic points and those sorts of things, that was how you collected resources. So it was not based on, managing workers and resource gathering. It was literally just dominate and control the map and you will get more resources. And I thought that was a really cool way of doing it. And it's something that would eventually be done with things like Company of Heroes and other RTS games.